thank you to all the participants today. So it's a very timely topic we have chosen for the webinar this month. How to get your permanent residency through Rural Community Immigration Pilot, which is the newest program introduced, and which is slowly starting to come into practice. Most of the communities are still in the process of launching this, and some uh, very few communities already started the program. So we will discuss about how somebody who's already in Canada as a temporary resident, maybe as a student or on a postgraduate work permit, or someone who's on a LMIA work permit, or on a spousal open work permit, or any other temporary resident permit, would secure the PR pathway through the RCIP program. And also, if anyone is joining directly from Sri Lanka, how you would directly get pave the pathway to a permanent residency through this program. I will discuss about that as well for the benefit of those who are joining from Sri Lanka today. So the agenda for the session is we will talk about the eligibility for the program mostly from the side of the candidate, but I will mention a little bit about the employee eligibility as well, because sometimes clients call us and ask when they have received a job offer from an employer, they don't know how to sometimes the employer themselves will not be sure about whether they are eligible to get into this program, and sometimes the candidates are not sure whether to accept the job offer. So I will talk about the employee eligibility to in very brief as well, and what are the eligible communities, what kind of a job offer are we talking about here, and what are the prerequisites, like what kind of prior work experience you need to have in order to be eligible for the RCIP program, the language requirements. And when we talk about the job offer again, uh, there are priority sectors and occupations listed on the website, and community recommendation for the PR, how you would obtain after getting a job offer, how you would obtain that community recommendation, and the biggest fear, what would be the scoring factors, whether your score is going to be enough to get a recommendation. This is the biggest fear. So we are not very clear about the scoring factors yet, because most of the communities have not even published that. But I saw only one community has published the scoring factors clearly, while some other communities have just, in a brief way, they have talked about it. And then whether you are eligible to apply for a work permit once you have, if you're qualified under RCIP. So these are the things that we will discuss today. So let's start with the eligibility for the candidate, because this is the most important thing to see whether you qualify as a candidate to apply for this program. So what you need to have would be a valid job offer. That's the main thing, from a designated employer in the community. So there are certain communities that are listed and that are eligible for this program. I will talk about that later. And you need to have a job offer, a valid job offer from one of the designated, nominated employers from this community. And prior to that, at least you need to have 1 year of full-time work experience during the past 3 years. This is also very important. I will talk about that in detail later on. So when you say 1 year work experience, it has to be equal to or more than 1,560 working hours, and take an approved language test, then Canadian educational credential or a foreign equivalent education qualification, um, and then show settlement funds. So this is the showing settlement funds is a requirement in any PR program. So depending on how many family members you have, whether it's only you, whether it's you and your spouse, and another one kid, two kids, or whatever. So based on the family size, you have to check the website to see how much money you need to show as settlement funds. From the employer's side, uh, for the designated employers. So, for an employer to become designated, there are certain factors they will have to fulfill. They have been operating continuously for at least 2 years in one of these participating communities. So you cannot go open a business, next week and then apply for the designated status. Do business at least one priority occupation that your community has identified. So I'll talk about the priority occupations later on. So those priority occupations as well as priority fields. So they have to do business in one of the priority fields and occupy at least one of the priority occupations, for provide employment for one of the priority occupations, and do at least 75% of the business inside the community, because when you're doing a business, of course, you cannot really confine all the business activities to a particular area, but at least 75% of the business activities will have to occur within that community, not be in violation of the employee compliance regime. That's a requirement for any program. So if they have any, for an example, if they have fired employees previously, um, in a way that cannot be justified, or there had been sexual harassment cases, or there had been cases where the employer has not paid the employee as per the agreement. So things like that cannot be on records. So complete the free onboarding training. So once they have applied for the designated status, they will have to undergo some sessions of free training. They have to attend that and complete the free intercultural competency training. There are several training programs like that. They have to basically complete those. Agree to support the settlement of newcomers and their families. So when they're taking the designated status, they will have to come into an agreement that they are going to support these newcomers, because the whole idea of this RCIP program is, ones who are going to get the employment under RCIP program and ones who are waiting to become PR, even after becoming PR, they will have to live and settle down in that province. So, what kind of a support the employer will provide at the beginning will largely have an impact on how these newcomers will basically absorb to that community well, settle in that community well. So therefore, there is a kind of a commitment given to the employers to provide support for the settlement to the newcomers. So these are the things that the designated employers will have to have. Once, if the employer know that they fulfill these requirements, the employer can always apply. There's a particular time period for which the application will be open time to time. There are time slots. When you go and check on the website, you will see that. So there are time slots. Within the time slots, they can submit an application, and then the office will evaluate and give them the designated status if they are eligible under these factors. So once the employer become a designated employer, then the employer can provide a job offer to a foreign worker through this RCIP program. So that's the idea of getting designated. So these are the eligible communities. You see in Nova Scotia, in Northern Ontario. Northern Ontario has 5 communities. So Northern Ontario uh, has the biggest part in RCIP program, and Manitoba also has 3 communities. Saskatchewan has one, but Moose Jaw has not yet launched their website, so we don't even know what are the priority sectors and things like that. And Alberta has 1 community, and BC has 3 communities under the list. So let's see what kind of a job offer you will have to have. So number one, it has to be from an eligible community. So when you go into these eligible community websites, you will see the boundaries. They have defined within the community what are the boundaries for this program. So for an example, when you say Sudbury, not the entire Sudbury area will get into this program. So there are boundaries. So within that only, you will have to have the job offer. So the employer or the work location uh, has to be within that boundary. And then full time, so which means at least 30 hours of paid work per week, and non-seasonal, it has to be all year round job, uh, indeterminate, because you cannot have a job offer for 1 year contract or something like that. It should not have a end date. Volunteer work and unpaid internships will not count therefore. At a similar skill level as your candidate's qualifying work experience. So the job offer has to be given in par with the skills and the experience the candidate possesses. So I will talk about that a little bit more. The work experience, in terms of work experience, if the job offer is a tier 0 or 1. So these tiers, what we mean by tier is a categorization given under the National Occupational Categorization, NOC. So you have to go to NOC website and then type your job designation, and then you will know something called a tier as well as a NOC code for the job. So the tiers are the a kind of a categorization they have done. For an example, tier 0 represents the managerial level jobs. Tier 1 represents professional jobs like engineers, nurses, architects, things like that. And tier 2 will be the uh, next level, so like supervisory level kind of. And then tier 4 and 5 are the operational level workers. So if your job offer is a tier 0 or 1, the work experience that you're showing, I said the minimum requirement is at least 1 year of work experience. So the work experience must be in tier 0, 1, 2, or 3. So you can see that, you know, but similar. So on the website, how it says is like similar, in a similar job, you have to have 1 year work experience. In certain programs, like Rural Renewal Program, for an example, you have to have 1 year minimum of 1 year work experience in that specific NOC code itself. But RCIP is a little bit lenient on that. So they say you have to have 1 year work experience in a similar role. So if your job offer is tier 0 or 1, so anything related to the job, but in tier 0, 1, 2, or 3 can be your work experience. And if the job offer is tier 2, you must have prior work experience in tier 1, 2, 3, or 4. If the job offer is tier 3 or 4, you must have your prior work experience under tier 2, 3, or 4. And if the job offer is tier 5, like a laborer or something, your work experience has to be on the same 5-digit NOC code, just like in the Rural Renewal Program. So you have to have 1 year of work experience in that job itself. This is how the work experience will be counted. And there's an exception for this, for a healthcare worker. If your work experience is in
Like, comment, and subscribe.